Hey, how y'all doing? I'm back with another video, and this video will be the story time. I know I look crazy. It's 5:20, so I'm not just waking up, but I've been cleaning up the house and everything today while my baby's sleeping. So, like I said, my baby has H.I.E, and I will insert that in the video what that is. I explained it in my last video, so you can just go watch my last video if you all want to see that. But if you can hear the fan, I'm hot, so because I've been cleaning. But let's jump right into the video. So I'm going to start off my pregnancy. Lordy. Well, when I was pregnant, it was pretty good. It was like an easy pregnancy, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really have a lot of morning sickness. I did have heartburn here and there, but it wasn't a lot of morning sickness. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of morning sickness at all. I was tired a lot, so I slept a lot. And she just drained me. She was my first baby, so she drained me. I worked 12 hours when I was pregnant with her. So I was drained anyway from working and, being pregnant. So at 5 months, I found out what she was. Because for some reason, it took me forever to get an ultrasound. So when I got the ultrasound, I found out what she was. Obviously, it was a girl from H.I.E. But once I was so excited, I was just so happy. And then, as the months go by, I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, huge. I will insert a picture of my pregnancy as well. I was getting huge. Okay, so her due date was March 31st. March 31st came around. I was still pregnant. Easter was April 4th, I think, that Sunday. I was still pregnant. So that Monday when I went to my doctor's appointment, I had told them, what was going on. I was swelling up really bad. Like, closer to my pregnancy, I was swelling up so bad. And I couldn't put on my own underwear. And I had got too big. Because at this point, I was over being pregnant. So, he told me that she wasn't ready to come out yet. And I was past my due date. He said, we're just going to try to see if my water was to break. So, that was April 5th. So, I came back. No, I lied. I was actually supposed to get an ultrasound because my stomach and like my side was hurting so bad. So I was actually supposed to get an ultrasound. I missed the ultrasound on the 7th because I had to take my boyfriend to his job interview. And by the time they called me, I was already an hour away. So I kind of missed it. So they told me to come back in that Wednesday morning. And they was going to do an ultrasound to see, is everything fine with her and everything. I get to the ultrasound place that Wednesday morning, around 9-ish. And they was like, my fluid was low. My fluid was always low during my pregnancy. Like, my amniotic fluid was always low. So every time I went to the hospital thinking I was in labor, I wasn't. My water didn't break. And every time I went to the hospital thinking, I was in labor, I wasn't. And all they did was give me fluid. So, I was on the fluid. And they came back in and said, we're going to start your induction now. There's no need for you to go back home. We're just going to go ahead and get the baby out. Because at this point, I was already 41 weeks pregnant. So, they got my induction started. And, when I got there, they said I was having contractions. And I didn't even feel a thing. I didn't feel anything. I felt great. For it to be my first pregnancy, a lot of people say, oh, it's going to hurt. It does hurt, but it's not like, oh, you're dying. It's not like, I didn't cry. I just went through my pain. So, as I started dilating a little bit, when I first got there, I wasn't dilated at all. I dilated probably like 2 centimeters, and I was at a standstill, just stayed there for a while. So, they came and they gave me some more induction medicine, and all my induction medicine was inserted vaginally. I didn't get my induction medicine in my IV. It was actually a pill that went in vaginally. So once I did it, I was dying slowly but surely I was dilating. So then, when I got to, I think about 5 centimeters, I want to say. I think so. He broke my water. So when he broke my water, meconium came out. And he had to flush it and stuff like that. And then once that came out, my baby's heart rate started dropping tremendously. I mean, it was like 70 and it was going down. I was just looking at the machine like, what is going on with my baby? So I got scared. And I just started crying. Well, I did cry then. They put me on the oxygen mask. They were like, just breathe. And I was like, no, like, what's going on with my baby? Isn't everything right with my baby? He was like, that's fine. He said, so then he stuck his hand and pushed it against my cervix, and her heart rate started slowly going up. And he was like, I was like, is everything fine? Is my baby fine? He said, your baby's fine, because if it wasn't fine, then you'll be rushed back to get a C-section. So just calm down and just take in good oxygen. He said, just breathe in the good oxygen. So that's what I was doing. And then her heart rate was at a steady rate. So after that, I was still dilating slow, but I was in pain. So I decided to get the epidural. So it wasn't that I wasn't in a lot of pain, but I was scared that I was going to get there. So let me just let it get the epidural. Well, it didn't work out the way I would like it to work out. So when I got the epidural, they tried to stick it in my back. They couldn't. They kept trying. They stuck me 17 times, and it still didn't work. So they decided that they can't keep going because it was actually a safety hazard. So I was just going through so much because my water was still breaking. After he broke my water, it was still, coming out. My water was breaking. I was having contractions, and I had to stay still multiple times for them to try to give me the epidural. So I was getting irritated. I probably would have said a few cuss words, and you never know. So it didn't work. She kept feeling on my legs, and she was like, do you feel that? I said, yes, I feel that. She was like, oh my God, it's not working. So once she already had the thing in my back, she took it out. It was like, it's not working, so we can't continue to keep sticking it. So that didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out. And I actually have a picture of like the scars on my back healing. I don't know if I inserted it or not, but I'll try to find it. So once my epidural didn't work, I was still dilating slowly. So they just gave me some kind of pain meds that just made me sleepy. But I'm still having contractions. It just made me sleepy. So you can't sleep because you're in pain. So it didn't really work either. So I was just laying there, and I finally dilated to 10 centimeters. And all I did was just wake up to a whole lot of bright lights. Like, just a lot of bright lights. And then came and said, baby, it's time to push. So I was like, okay, yes, let's get her out. So my boyfriend, he was asleep. I didn't want to wake him up because I knew it was going to take me a while to actually push her out. So I started pushing. Sorry. But I didn't want to wake him up because I knew it was going to, take a long time to push her out. So as I was pushing, I just kept trying to push. Every time I pushed her, like, her head would go right back in. I'm like, oh my God, like, come on. And I breathe out of my mouth. I talk out of my mouth and I breathe out of my mouth because my nose is like always stuffy because I have severe allergies. So she was like, just breathe, just take deep breaths. And I'm like, I gotta breathe, I'm out of breath. So I was trying to push her out, and once her head was out, they actually called it. The nurses started pushing. Once her head was out, the doctor came in and finished the rest. I knew something was wrong because everybody was like, I looked around, and there had to be probably like maybe 12 people in the room. And they was like, push, hurry up, push the baby out. And then a woman actually got in the bed, and with her fist, she was pushing on like the bottom of my stomach, just like trying to get her out. So once she came out, she was blue. My baby was blue when she came out, and she wasn't crying, and she wasn't breathing. So that's how I knew something was wrong. So then she left out the room. They left, and the doctor was stitching me up because he did cut me. He was stitching me back up, and I was watching the whole thing on the ceiling. So he was stitching me back up, and like after I got stitched up and stuff like that, I was just laying there like think about where's my baby. So her doctor came in, and was like, she's fine, she's stable. We're gonna monitor her for 12 hours, and then after that we'll send her to your room. I said, okay, because I was scared. I thought something wrong with my baby. So I took me a nap. Rest because I did just push out a baby and I couldn't sleep. So I took me a nap, and when I woke up, I wanted to go see her. So, so I went to go see her, and she was doing perfectly fine. Like everything was fine. They said she had a migraine, so she didn't want to be bothered. So they said don't touch her or anything, but I can't see her. So she was like really cranky, and she was mad. Then I went back in my room, let them do what they had to do for her. I went back in my room. Probably I ate and everything. Probably like a few hours later, I went back to go see her. And when I went to go back to see her, that's when all hell just broke loose. She was actually having a seizure. All I could see is her shaking, and her eyes was rolling in the back of her head. And I looked at the nurse, and I'm like, what's going on? And she didn't say anything. And eventually, I asked again, and she said she was having a seizure. So I just started crying, and I was weak for a very long time. So my boyfriend took me back to the room, and I just kept crying. Sorry, I don't want to get emotional. And I just kept crying and crying and crying, and I was crying so bad that my eyes was like really poofing, like it was really big. And it was just so scary to know that your baby is going through this. Everybody think you're gonna have a baby, you're gonna go home, but it did not work like that for me at all. So they came back in. Her doctor came back in and told me that they was transferring her to Chapel Hill, which is a hospital that people go or babies go when they're like critical condition. So they sent her to Chapel Hill, and I didn't want to see her anymore that night because I was so scared that she was having a seizure, or I was just so scared I didn't want to see anything or the machines on her because it would just made me very emotional. So I didn't want to see anything. So I tried to get some rest that night, and I did a little bit. So I got some rest, and I woke up at 8, and me and my boyfriend was talking. We was both crying because we didn't know what was going on. And she was at the other hospital, but I had to wait till I get discharged so I go up there with her. That Thursday, which is April the 9th. I had April the 8th, by the way. That Thursday, which is April the 9th. Or was it Friday? Whatever. April the 9th, I went to Chapel Hill to see her. And they had the EEG machine on her. And it was so scary. And I cried when I seen her. And they had told me that she had recently just had a seizure right before we had got there. In fact, she had 2 seizures right before we had got there. So they put her on a medicine called phenobarbital to control the seizures. So she was kind of doped up. So she wasn't moving anything. Like she was still. She wasn't moving at all. Like she was completely still. And I kept pushing for an MRI because I want to know exactly what it has done to my baby, like the seizures. Because I know seizures can, damage the brain. So a few days later, they did an MRI. They told the results. They found out that my baby has H.I.E. She had severe brain damage at that. Somewhere between, when I delivered her, she did not get enough oxygen to her brain in time. And that's what caused the seizures. Probably like within 12 hours. That's when, within the 12-hour mark, that's when she started having the seizures. And it was like the scariest moment of my life. My baby was in the hospital till she was about 2 months. She got out of the hospital June 1st was her discharge date. And, she was born April 8th. So she was in the hospital the whole time till June 1st. And it had to be the hardest thing of my life. My next video will actually be introducing her. I will actually show you all her. And I will show you her daily routine that I have to do. She's always asleep during the day. So that's why I'm just get time to record videos and explain what's going on. So, when I brought her home, she actually had surgery, G-tube surgery. So she does have a G-tube. But like I said, I will get into that when I show you all her daytime routine, her nighttime routine. I will actually be explaining more. But that was just my story time of how it happened, when it happened. I was just telling you the rundown of it. So my next video, you all will actually see me showing you how I you know, how our days are with her. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Please share it, because I want to bring awareness, and I want to show that this condition is real, and a lot of people don't know about it. I didn't know about it, but I'm here to educate you. Thank you so much, and thanks for watching my video. Bye.